Ladies and gentlemen, God knows your heart, not the version of you that people see, not the smile you put on in public. God knows the silent prayers you never spoke out loud. He knows the nights you cried when nobody checked on you. He knows the battles you fought in secret and the strength it took just to keep going one more day. God sees what people don't. That truth alone can give you peace when the world misunderstands you. People look at your actions and make quick judgments, but God looks deeper. He sees your heart. He sees the reason behind every decision you made, even the ones that didn't turn out the way you hoped. When people criticize you, they only see the surface. God sees the struggle, the sacrifice, and the faith that kept you going when giving up would have been easier. There are times when you did the right thing, yet it cost you something. You lost relationships, opportunities, or recognition. To others, it may look like weakness or poor choices, but God knows why you chose integrity over convenience, peace over revenge, and faith over fear. He knows how hard it was to stay silent when you wanted to explain yourself. He knows how much strength it took to walk away instead of fighting back. What people call foolishness, God calls obedience. So many battles you fought were invisible. You smiled in public while breaking down in private. You encouraged others while feeling discouraged yourself. You showed up even when you felt empty. People may never applaud that kind of strength, but God never misses it. Every tear you cried in secret, every prayer you whispered late at night, every moment you held on when you were tired, God saw it all. And because he saw it, it was never wasted. Sometimes it feels unfair to be judged for what people think they know about you. They don't know your story. They don't know the trauma you survived, the disappointments you endured, or the doors that close in your face. But God knows. He understands why you are the way you are. He knows how far you've come, even if you haven't reached where you want to be yet. That's why you don't need everyone's approval when you already have God's understanding. God also sees the good you do when no one is watching, the kindness you showed without expecting anything in return, the help you gave even when you were struggling yourself, the times you chose love when bitterness would have been easier. People may overlook those moments, but God records them. Nothing done with a pure heart goes unnoticed in his eyes. When you feel overlooked, remember this: being unseen by people does not mean you are unseen by God. In fact, some of the greatest moves God makes in your life happen in seasons when no one is clapping for you. That's when he builds you, strengthens you, and prepares you for what's next. Public reward often follows private faith. God knows your intentions even when your results fall short. You may have tried and failed, but God honors the effort rooted in sincerity. He knows you meant well. He knows you were doing the best you could with what you had at the time, and that matters to him. So don't let people's opinions define your worth. Don't let misunderstandings shake your faith. Keep your heart clean, your intentions pure, and your trust in God strong. When the time is right, God will reveal the truth. He will vindicate you in ways you never expected. What was hidden will be brought to light. What was overlooked will be rewarded. Waiting is one of the hardest things a person can do, especially when you've been praying, believing, and doing your best to stay faithful. There are moments when the delay feels personal, like God is saying no or ignoring your cries. But delay is not denial. Delay is often God's way of preparing you for something greater than what you originally asked for. What feels like a pause in your life is actually a process. When God delays a blessing, it is never to hurt you. It is to protect you. If some prayers were answered too early, you wouldn't have been ready to handle the responsibility, the pressure, or the growth that comes with the blessing. God knows what timing will strengthen you and what timing would break you. He sees the full picture while you only see the moment you're in. Think about how many times you wanted something badly, only to later realize you weren't prepared for it. Maybe your character needed refining. Maybe your faith needed strengthening. Maybe certain people needed to be removed from your life before God could add the right ones. In the waiting season, God is working on you while also working around you. He is aligning circumstances, changing hearts, and opening doors you didn't even know existed. Waiting also teaches you to trust God more than the outcome. When things don't happen right away, you learn to walk by faith and not by sight. You learn to rely on God instead of leaning on your own understanding. The delay forces you to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. It builds patience, humility, and resilience, qualities you will need when the miracle finally arrives. There are blessings that require maturity before they can be sustained. God will never give you something that your spirit cannot carry. That's why preparation always comes before promotion. Before David became king, he was a shepherd. Before Joseph ruled in Egypt, he was in prison. Their delays were not wasted time. They were training grounds. The same is true for you. Sometimes God delays because he is saving you from unnecessary pain. You may be asking for something that looks good on the surface but would cause harm in the long run. God's not yet is often an act of mercy. He closes doors you're begging him to open because he knows what's waiting on the other side. Trusting God means believing that his timing is better than your urgency. The waiting season can feel lonely. You watch others move ahead while you feel stuck, but comparison will only steal your peace. God's plan for your life is unique. What's meant for you will not pass you by. No one can take what God has your name on. Delay does not mean you've been forgotten. It means your story is still being written. In the silence, God is shaping your faith. In the stillness, he is strengthening your character. Every day you wait with hope instead of bitterness, you are growing. And growth is never wasted. One day you will look back and thank God for the delay. You will see that every closed door, every slow season, every unanswered prayer was necessary. It positioned you for something far better than you imagined. When the miracle finally comes, it will arrive at the right time, in the right way, with the right impact. There are moments in life when silence feels heavier than words. You pray with all your heart. You speak your faith out loud, and yet nothing seems to change. No sign, no answer, no clear direction. In those moments, it's easy to believe that God is distant or uninterested, but silence does not mean absence. In fact, some of God's greatest work happens in silence. Faith is tested most when there is no immediate response. When prayers are answered quickly, belief comes easily. But when heaven seems quiet, faith deepens. God uses silence to teach you how to trust him without conditions, without guarantees, and without timelines. This kind of faith is powerful because it does not depend on what you see. It depends on who you know God to be. Silence forces you to listen differently. When everything is loud, you rely on external signs, but when things go quiet, you begin to hear God through your spirit. You start noticing subtle changes within yourself, greater patience, deeper understanding, stronger self-control. These internal shifts are signs that God is working, even if your circumstances haven't changed yet. There are prayers God answers immediately, and there are prayers he answers by changing you first. Sometimes the miracle is not the situation changing, but your heart becoming stronger, wiser, and more at peace. God knows that if he fixed everything around you too quickly, you might never develop the faith required for what's coming next. Silence is not a punishment, it is preparation. Think about how a seed grows. It happens underground, in darkness, without noise. Nothing appears to be happening, yet growth is taking place. If you judge the seed by what you could see, you would think it was dead, but beneath the surface, life is forming. Your faith works the same way. When nothing seems to be happening, God is still developing something deep within you. Silence also reveals what truly lives in your heart. When you don't get immediate answers, your motives are tested. Do you still trust God when he doesn't move the way you want? Do you still pray when there's no instant reward? This is where genuine faith is built. Faith that only works when everything is going well is fragile. Faith that survives silence is unshakable. Many people give up too soon because they mistake silence for rejection. They stop praying, stop believing, and stop expecting. But often they are closer to the breakthrough than they realize. God is not ignoring you. He is arranging things beyond your vision. He is lining up people, timing, and opportunities that will make sense later. Silence teaches surrender. It reminds you that you are not in control, and that's not a weakness. It's freedom. When you release the need to force outcomes, you allow God to move in ways you could never plan. His ways are higher, and his timing is perfect, even when it doesn't feel like it. One day, the silence will break. The answer will come. And when it does, you will realize that every quiet moment served a purpose. The waiting strengthened your faith. The stillness sharpened your trust. And the silence proved that God was working all along. Endurance is rarely celebrated, yet it is often the doorway to sudden miracles. People usually notice the breakthrough, not the long season of waiting that came before it. They see the victory, but overlook the years of perseverance, the quiet sacrifices, and the strength it took to keep going when nothing seemed to change. But in God's design, endurance is never accidental. It is the soil where sudden miracles grow. Many people assume that miracles happen instantly without struggle, but the truth is different. In most stories of breakthrough, there is a long chapter of patience before the turning point arrives. You endure disappointment, rejection, uncertainty, and fatigue. You question yourself. You wonder if the promise will ever come to pass. Yet each day you keep believing you are building the foundation for something extraordinary. God often allows long seasons of endurance because he is shaping your capacity. If the miracle came too soon, it might overwhelm you. Endurance stretches your faith, strengthens your character, and prepares you to handle the blessing when it finally arrives. The waiting does not weaken you, it builds you. What feels like delay is actual live development. Think about how pressure creates strength. Muscles grow through resistance. Diamonds are formed under intense pressure. In the same way, spiritual endurance produces inner strength that cannot be developed any other way. When you've endured long enough, you carry a confidence that doesn't depend on circumstances. You know that if God carried you through the waiting, he will carry you through the blessing. Sudden miracles often arrive when you least expect them. After months or years of consistency, something shifts. One moment changes everything. A door opens, a problem resolves. A breakthrough appears without warning. From the outside, it looks like it happened overnight. But you know the truth. It took endurance to get there. Endurance also proves your commitment. It shows God that your faith is not temporary. When you continue to trust him even after repeated delays, you demonstrate a depth of belief that goes beyond emotion. You show that your faith is rooted, not reactive. This kind of faith moves heaven. There are times when you feel like giving up is easier than continuing. But often that moment of exhaustion is the final test before the miracle. Many people stop just short of the breakthrough because they mistake weariness for failure. Feeling tired does not mean you are losing. It often means you are close. God never wastes endurance. Every prayer prayed during the waiting, every tear shed in faith, every time you chose hope over despair is accounted for. Nothing you endured is forgotten. God sees the effort it took to remain faithful when there were no signs of progress. When the miracle finally happens, it arrives suddenly but meaningfully. It does not just change your circumstances, it changes your perspective. You become grateful, humble, and deeply aware of God's presence. You understand that the endurance was necessary so that the miracle could have lasting impact. If you are in a season of endurance right now, don't be discouraged. This is not the end of your story. It is the buildup. Something is forming behind the scenes. Your consistency is creating momentum you cannot yet see. Pain has a way of making people question God. When life becomes heavy and circumstances turn difficult, it is easy to believe that suffering is a sign of punishment or rejection. But pain is not always a consequence of wrongdoing. Many times, pain is a process. It is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to develop you. God does not waste pain, and he does not use it to harm his children. He uses it to prepare them. There are lessons that comfort can never teach. Strength is often born in hardship, and wisdom is refined through struggle. When everything is going well, it's easy to trust God. But when life hurts, faith becomes real. Pain reveals what truly lives inside you. It exposes fear, doubt, resilience, and belief. Through pain, God strengthens your inner foundation. God is more concerned with who you are becoming than with what you are going through. Blessings without character can lead to destruction, but character built through adversity leads to lasting success. That is why God often allows pressure before promotion. He refines before he rewards. He strengthens before he blesses. Pain has a way of humbling the heart. It teaches empathy, compassion, and patience. It softens pride and deepens understanding. People who have suffered often become the greatest sources of encouragement for others. What you endure today may become the very testimony that lifts someone else tomorrow. There are moments when pain feels unfair. You may wonder why you are going through something when you've tried to live right, pray faithfully, and treat people kindly. But righteousness does not exempt anyone from hardship. Even those closest to God face trials. Pain is not proof of disobedience. It is often evidence of growth. God also uses pain to redirect your path. Sometimes he allows discomfort so you will move away from what is familiar but unhealthy. Other times, pain closes doors you were too afraid to walk away from on your own. What feels like loss may actually be protection. What feels like an ending may be a divine redirection. In pain, God teaches you to rely on him rather than on your own strength. When you reach the end of yourself, you discover the power of God's grace. Weakness becomes the place where divine strength takes over. Pain strips away false security so that real faith can grow. It is important to remember that pain is temporary, but the growth it produces is lasting. What you are learning now will serve you in the future. The resilience you are developing will help you sustain the blessing when it arrives. God knows what you will need for the next chapter, and he is preparing you accordingly. Pain also teaches gratitude. After walking through hardship, you appreciate peace more deeply. You value stability more fully. You recognize God's hand in ways you never noticed before. Pain sharpens your awareness of God's presence and faithfulness. If you are hurting right now, don't assume God is against you. He is with you. He is strengthening you. He is shaping your character in ways you cannot yet see. This season is not meant to break you. It is meant to build you. Being ready is not about knowing exactly when your breakthrough will arrive. It's about living in a way that allows you to receive it when it does. Many people pray for miracles but fail to prepare for them. Readiness is an act of faith. It says, I believe God will move, even if I don't know the timing. When God decides to act, he often does so suddenly, and those who are prepared are the ones who can. Step into the blessing without hesitation. Staying ready begins with consistency. Doing the right thing daily, even when nothing seems to be happening, builds spiritual discipline. Faith is not proven in big moments, but in small, repeated choices. How you live while you wait matters just as much as what you are waiting for. Obedience in ordinary moments prepares you for extraordinary outcomes. Readiness also requires a willing heart. Sometimes people pray for change but resist transformation. God cannot bless what you refuse to release. Staying ready means letting go of bitterness, pride, and fear. It means forgiving even when it hurts and trusting God even when the future feels uncertain. A clean heart creates space for a greater blessing. Another part of readiness is expectation. Expectation keeps faith alive. When you truly believe something is coming, your mindset shifts. You speak differently. You act differently. You make room for what you are praying for. Expectation is not wishful thinking. It is confidence rooted in trust. When you expect God to move, you stay alert for opportunities and open to divine direction. Readiness also means growth. God often answers prayers through responsibility. If you are praying for increase, you must be willing to manage it. If you are praying for influence, you must develop wisdom and humility. God prepares you to sustain what He plans to give. The blessing will not replace effort. It will reward preparation. There are moments when God opens doors quickly. Opportunities appear without warning. Situations shift suddenly. In those moments, hesitation can cost you. That is why preparation matters. When you are ready, you recognize the moment. You step forward in faith instead of fear. You move with confidence because you trust that God positioned you for that opportunity. Staying ready also means staying faithful during UNC or Tainty. Faithfulness keeps you aligned with God's will. Even when things don't make sense, remaining faithful positions you for favor. God honors commitment, patience, and trust. When He sees that your heart is steady, He knows you can handle what's coming. Readiness does not mean perfection. It means willingness. God works with those who are open, teachable, and obedient. He is not waiting for you to be flawless. He is waiting for you to be faithful. Small steps of obedience prepare the way for big breakthroughs. When the miracle comes, it often comes quickly. What you prayed for over time may arrive in a moment. That moment will test your readiness. Are you prepared to receive it? Are you willing to step into the unknown? Those who stay ready don't panic when change happens. They recognize it as answered prayer. So stay ready, keep believing, keep growing, keep trusting. Live as if God could move at any moment because He can. And when He does, you'll be ready to receive the miracle you've been praying for.